Hey guys, tonight we begin a different kind of journey, one told not through a single set of eyes, but through many. Because when a city burns, it doesn't choose its victims. It takes rich and poor, stranger and neighbor, one heartbeat at a time. Tonight, we travel to London, September 1666, the day before everything changes. Before we begin, go ahead and dim the lights. Let your muscles relax. Let your breathing slow. If you're lying in bed, pull the blanket up around you. Let this story drift in gently, like candle smoke curling against old beams. And if you're listening with others around the world, leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. I love seeing the quiet glow of your screens from every corner of the globe. Now, you are Thomas. You wake early. Before the sun, before the bells, before the smell of morning bread. You are an apprentice baker on Pudding Lane, and your day begins with fire. It's not the dangerous kind. Not yet. It's the good kind. The kind that crackles under brick ovens and dances behind cast iron. You light it yourself, crouched low in the bakery's narrow fire chamber. You strike flint to steel, feed the kindling, coax it into life with your breath. You're good at this part. You've done it 100 times. Your hands are already black with soot by the time Master Farinor comes down the steps. He grunts something that might be a greeting or a complaint, and you nod without speaking. He's not one for words. He prefers his bread golden and his staff quiet. You work fast, kneading dough, flour clinging to your forearms. You shape rolls, score loaves, sweep ashes from the stone floor. The bakery is hot and cramped. It smells of yeast and sweat and fire. Outside, Pudding Lane is just beginning to stir. The sounds of wheels over cobblestones, hooves, and footsteps, and the occasional bark of a dog drift in through the open shutter. The ovens grow hotter. You test them by flicking a drop of water against the stone walls, listening for the hiss. You've lived in London your whole life. You don't think of it as a city. It's a maze of timbered buildings and twisting alleys, of endless markets and thick chimney smoke, of soot on windowsills and oil on hands. Everything here is old and close together. Too close, maybe. But it's all you've known. By midday, the bakery is full of warmth and work. The master's daughter comes down with a basin of milk. You nod to her and keep shaping loaves. You eat standing, a crust torn from the corner of a warm roll. No butter, just steam and salt and silence. The fire is doing its job, the bread is rising, and by sundown, your body aches the way it always does. In your back, your knees, your shoulders. You clean what you can. Scrub the boards, bank the fire, sweep the soot. You forget to douse the coals in the corner oven. It's not much, just a glow, just one spark too many tucked into the wrong corner. But you're tired, and it's late, and you don't check. You go upstairs to your cot beneath the rafters, curl into a ball, and fall asleep to the soft creak of timber and the faint whisper of warm air rising through the floorboards. You don't hear the crackle in the dark. Not yet. The night passes quietly, at least at first. Downstairs, the bakery is still. The last coals in the oven smolder beneath layers of ash. The walls, dry from years of heat and flour dust, hold their breath. The ember stirs once, then twice, and finds something waiting. A curl of linen, a forgotten broom handle, a splintered edge of timber. The spark catches, no sound at first, just heat building in silence. Then, flicker. Then, flame. You are still asleep when it begins to spread. It's slow at first, snaking up the wall behind the ovens. Then faster, licking the beams, swallowing the shelves stacked with kindling. The bakery fills with smoke. The bread, forgotten, begins to burn. A pane of glass shatters from the heat, and then you wake. Your lungs seize first. The smoke is thick, bitter, clinging to your throat like wool. Your eyes sting. You cough, try to stand, but the air is wrong. Hot, alive. You hear shouting from below. The master's voice, sharp, panicked. You grab your boots, still untied, and stumble down the stairs, coughing. The stairwell is already glowing. You see the fire before you feel it, an angry mass of light pouring from the oven mouth and spreading across the floorboards. The master is trying to throw a bucket of water onto it. It hisses uselessly. The fire laughs. His daughter screams. She's grabbing at her father, pulling him toward the door. You reach for the door as well, fingers fumbling at the latch. The wood burns your skin. You wrench it open. Cold air hits your face. Outside, shadows, neighbors rousing, windows slamming open, a horse panicking, pulling its cart into a fence. The bakery is now a furnace behind you. Heat chases you into the street. You run. You don't even know where. Down the lane, past crates, through mud, into someone's yard. The whole building is glowing now, flames pouring from windows, the roof curling into black smoke. You hear someone shouting for help. Buckets, water. But there's not enough, never enough. The fire doesn't wait. It spreads. The bakery next door, already catching. Timber beams, dry as straw, crack and split. Soot lifts into the air like dark snow. You turn. Look back at the shop where you worked every day of your life. The loaves, the ovens, the mornings, gone. And the master, he never made it out. His daughter's voice breaks into a scream behind you, sharp enough to stop your breath. You don't know what to do. You just stand there, boots soaked in mud, watching your world burn. And you are only the first, because now you are Margaret. You live 3 doors down, a laundress, a widow, and you have 3 children. Your name is Margaret. You live in a small, narrow home off Pudding Lane. The house leans slightly to one side, the wooden walls warped from years of fog and frost and salt air. The floors creak, the roof leaks, but it's yours, and more importantly, it's theirs. 3 children, John, 8, Eliza, 6, and little Thomas, who's barely 2 and never stops coughing. You went to bed late, scrubbing linens well past midnight, arms raw, knuckles cracked. The air still smelled faintly of lye and wet wool when you finally slipped into your bed, legs trembling from standing all day. It was quiet when you closed your eyes. Now it isn't. You wake to the sound of shouting, not the usual tavern brawls, not a thief being chased. This is different, urgent, scared. You sit up, listen. Your eyes adjust to the dark, but your ears sharpen faster. Outside, running feet, a scream, and the sound of something crashing. Glass, wood. You swing your legs off the bed and reach for your shawl. You wrap it around your shoulders as you step to the front window and pull back the curtain. The world outside is orange. Your heart skips. You lean forward, pressing your fingers to the glass. It's not morning. It's fire. You see flames, real ones, just down the lane. High, alive, twisting from a rooftop like a serpent. Pudding Lane is burning. You don't move at first. Can't. Then Eliza coughs. Behind you, in the corner, she stirs on her straw pallet. "Ma," she says softly, rubbing her eyes. You snap into motion. "Get your shoes," you say, voice firmer than it feels. "Wake your brothers." You move fast. Grab the small satchel by the door. Already half-packed, always half-packed, in case the debt collectors ever came back. You shove in a loaf of bread, a blanket, the tin cup. Eliza is crying now, holding Thomas by the arm. You lift the toddler into your arms, wrap him in your shawl. John is already at the door, pale-faced and barefoot. You shove his boots into his hands, put them on. Now, smoke creeps under the front door, a thick line of gray. You cough once, twice. It burns. You throw the latch. The street beyond is chaos. Fire dances on the roof of the bakery. The sky glows like a furnace. A woman runs past you barefoot, carrying a birdcage. A man drags a rug behind him, soaked, slapping it against flames on a windowsill. You push your children out the door, shielding them with your body. Ash falls like snow. The heat wraps around your family like hands. You don't know where to go, just away. So you run, shoes scraping stone, Thomas heavy in your arms. You run past the bakery. You don't recognize it. It's already half gone, swallowed by fire. The buildings lean in on either side like they're whispering secrets. But the only truth they know is this: the fire is coming. And you are not fast enough, not strong enough, not lucky enough. You turn toward the river. It's the only place you know. And you pray. Pray you can reach it before the city does. Because now you are Elias, a waterman, and the Thames is rising. You are Elias. You've worked the Thames since you were strong enough to hold a pole. Your father did the same, and his before him. You don't own the boat you steer. You rent it by the day, by the tide, but it listens to your hands, and it has always gotten you home. You sleep in a room above a tavern near Fish Street Hill, where the scent of ale and damp wood never quite leaves your clothes. Your bed is hard, your blanket thin, but you don't need much. The river keeps you fed. That night, you don't sleep long. Someone bangs on the tavern door below. Loud, frantic. You sit up slowly, groggy from cheap cider and the long pull of oars. Then you smell it. At first, faint, like someone's chimney smoking the wrong way. Then stronger, and then your eyes sting. You move fast. Your boots slam the floorboards as you swing your coat over one shoulder and thunder down the stairs. The barkeep is already outside, barefoot in his nightshirt, staring up the hill. You follow his gaze, and the sky is burning. A wash of orange and black churns above the rooftops near Pudding Lane. It pulses like a wound, and beneath it, the silhouettes of rooftops flare and fall. You grab your pole, your cap, and you run for the docks. People are already there, too many. Women holding children, men carrying chairs, books, crates. Everyone shouting, everyone panicking, and only so many boats. Yours is moored near the end of the pier. You untie it with shaking hands. Your fingers fumble the knot twice. By the third time, the rope slips loose. You shout over the roar, "Room for 8." 10 climb aboard. You don't argue. You push off. The Thames swells beneath you. Black water, smooth and silent, like the city hasn't noticed yet what's being lost. You guide the boat into the current, eyes scanning the shoreline. You see shadows leaping across the walls. You see fire moving faster than the wind should carry it. And then you see her, a woman, wrapped in a shawl, stumbling toward the riverbank, 3 children in tow. She's waving. You pull toward the edge. "Come," you call out. She lifts the smallest child into the boat first, then the girl. The boy hesitates, looking back once, then scrambles in. She climbs last, nearly tipping the side. You steady her. She says nothing, just holds her children close and watches the city behind her disappear into smoke. You guide the boat downstream. The water ripples with reflected flame. The river should bring safety. But tonight, the river is only a witness. And it sees everything. Now you are Nicholas. And you live high above Cheapside. And everything you own is worth more than 100 lives. You are Nicholas. Nicholas Berwick, Esquire, member of the Worshipful Company of Mercers. Landowner, silk merchant. You've never lifted anything heavier than a quill. Your shoes are made from imported Italian leather. Your waistcoat from French brocade. Your fingers bear rings set with stones the size of cherries. You live in a grand house on Cheapside, above your shop. A tall, proud building with timber beams darkened by age. polished windows that reflect the street below, and an iron sign bearing your family's crest swinging gently in the breeze. The fire wakes you not with sound, but with light, an odd glow through the shutters. You rise, annoyed. It's too early. There's business to be done in the morning. Ships to inspect, ledgers to sign. You unlatch the window, then you freeze. To the east, the city glows orange. Not like sunrise, brighter, flickering, undisciplined. Your mind tries to make sense of it. Then the heat hits your face. Even from here, 4 stories up. You feel it. You back away from the window and call for your servant. Edwin. No answer. You dress quickly, fingers fumbling with buttons. Your fine shirt is soaked with sweat before you finish tying your cravat. You pee out into the hallway. Edwin! You shout again. Footsteps. He appears at the stairs, pale, breathless. The fire, sir, he says. It's spreading, all the way from Pudding Lane. You blink. That's impossible. That's half a mile. He nods. Not anymore. You look around. Your shop, packed with imported goods. Bales of silk, barrels of saffron, chests of perfume from Morocco, paper from Florence, oil from Venice. Everything you own is here. Everything you've worked for. You think for a moment. Then act. Get the strong boxes. You say. He runs. You pull on your coat, your gloves, your hat. You gather the ledgers, the deed to your father's land, the satchel with your silver coins. Your hands tremble slightly as you fasten the buckle. Smoke creeps beneath the door. A minute later, Edwin returns, arms full of iron-bound boxes. You each grab as much as you can. You move to the stairs. The air in the stairwell is hot, too hot. The bottom floor is already lost. You can hear it groaning, wood splitting, glass shattering. Flames race up the walls like a dog chasing a hare. You turn. There's no way down. You push Edwin back up the stairs. To the roof, you say. He hesitates. You grab his sleeve. To the roof. You emerge into wind and smoke. Cheapside blurs in flame. The rooftops burn like paper, one after the next, down the line of houses. You clutch the strongbox to your chest. It's hot, heavy. You can't breathe. Somewhere below, you hear horses screaming, people shouting. Somewhere behind you, a bell rings. Not from a church, from a building collapsing. Edwin coughs beside you. You fall to your knees. The sky turns gray, then black. Ash coats your gloves like snow. You look out over London, your city, your empire, and for the first time in your life, you have nothing. Now you are Anne. You are 11 years old, and you've lost your parents. You are Anne. You are 11 years old, and your world ended 3 days ago, though you didn't know it then. Your mother coughed blood for a week before she stopped moving. Your father lasted 2 days after that. You sat by the hearth as their bodies cooled, clutching the wool shawl your mother wrapped around you the night she died. No one came. No one knocked. No one buried them. You waited, hoping the neighbor would notice, or the priest, or the butcher who used to slip you bones for stew. But London had already moved on, and now you are alone. You sleep in the doorway of the church across from your family's old tenement. You've eaten nothing but stale crusts and apple peels you found in the gutter. You drank river water yesterday. You still feel it in your stomach. You are thin. Your dress is too big. The seams hang loose, and your shoes have worn holes at the toes. Still, you get up with the sun, because the bells are ringing. Not for mass, not for morning, but for fire. At first, you think it's a dream, but then you smell it, and you remember the stories your father used to tell about St. Paul's surviving lightning, about the great frost when the Thames froze solid. This is worse. You crawl to your feet and look up. The sky is red. Not dawn, but flame. Ash flutters like feathers from above. You stand in the street, neck craned, watching orange light dance across rooftops. listening to the sound of people running, the sound of things breaking. The fire hasn't reached your street yet, but it's coming. You feel it in your ribs, like thunder. You don't have anything to carry. No bags, no boxes, just your mother's shawl and your own feet. You start walking, not fast. There's nowhere to go, but something in you says, move. You pass bodies pushing carts. You pass men shouting orders, trying to form lines with buckets. You pass a woman cradling a dog, both of them shaking. A boy your age runs by, clutching a pot so big he can barely carry it. You step through water. You step through fire. You don't cry. Not anymore. You keep walking. And then you hear it. A scream. You turn. A man has fallen, burned. You look away. You keep walking until you reach the river. You don't remember how you go to there. You don't know what street you're on. But there it is, the Thames, black, wide, crowded with boats. And someone sees you, a woman with a toddler in her arms. She waves you over. You hesitate, then step into the boat. No one asks your name. No one asks where your parents are. They just pull you in. You sit in silence. Your bare feet brush against an oar. And you watch as the city you were born in dies behind you. You pull your mother's shawl tighter. And for the first time in days, you fall asleep. Now you are Gregory, a watchman. And tonight is the longest night of your life. You are Gregory, a watchman of the ward near Cornhill. Not a soldier, not a constable, just a man with a halberd and a badge pinned to your chest, paid by the city to keep the peace. You walk the streets after dark. You watch for thieves, for drunks, for broken lanterns and unattended fires. Mostly, though, you just walk. You've been doing it for 15 years. You know every brick, every shuttered window, every name of every woman who sells bread in the square. You know which boys to shoo away and which ones to ignore. You know where the fishmonger sleeps and which side of the tavern leaks in the rain. You were never trained for this, not for what came tonight. It started hours ago. You were just beginning your circuit when a boy came running down Threadneedle Street, screaming about fire. Everyone runs from something in this city, so you didn't listen at first. Then you saw it. The sky was pulsing. You ran to the east, to Pudding Lane, where the streets are tight and the walls lean in like whispering mouths. And there it was, half the street already swallowed, smoke thick as bread dough, fire climbing the buildings like ivy. You shouted, rang the bell, called for the buckets. There weren't enough. You joined a chain of men trying to pass water from the well. You threw your arms and voice behind them, but it was like pouring teaspoons into a furnace. The fire wasn't just spreading. It was leaping, jumping alleys, exploding window to window like it was alive. You yelled for demolition. The only way to stop the fire is to starve it. Pull down buildings in its path, clear space, create a fire break. But no one listened. Too many men weeping for their shops, clutching their ledgers, trying to carry their lives on their backs. You grabbed an axe and began yourself. Timber crashed. Beams cracked. The fire roared. Still it came. You saw a man climb to his roof with a blanket soaked in vinegar. He lasted 5 seconds. You saw another shove his cart into the flames, thinking he could block it. The wheels caught fire before he let go. You kept swinging. One house fell, then another. Still it came. Your arms burned. Your lungs clawed at the smoke. The church bell rang, not for service, for warning. You stumbled back to Cornhill, mouth black, throat raw. You dropped the halberd. You fell to your knees. And for the first time in 15 years, you cried. Not from pain, but from knowing you couldn't save them. Now you are Elizabeth, and you're in labor. You are Elizabeth, and you are in labor. The pain started early in the evening, tightening low in your belly, deep and slow, like the sea drawing breath. You've known this rhythm before. This will be your 4th child, but it never gets easier. Never gets less frightening. Your husband, Samuel paces the narrow room above your father's inn. He wrings his hands, offers you broth, fetches the midwife again and again. His shirt is damp with sweat, though the fire hasn't reached this part of the city. Not yet. Below your window, the streets are no longer streets. They're rivers of people, of carts and crates and barrels and babies and bread. Shouting, running, carrying everything and nothing. The fire is coming. Everyone knows it. Everyone feels it. You feel something else. A pressure. Sharp. You scream through your teeth. The midwife returns with clean linens, but her eyes flick constantly toward the window. You can see the orange reflection in the glass. She's sweating. Not from the room, from fear. I have to go, she says, too suddenly. It's too close. No, Samuel says, stepping between you. You stay. She's my wife, our baby, place, ease. But she's already packing. She won't meet your eyes. And in a breath, she's gone. You lie there alone now. You and Samuel and pain. The walls shake from something in the distance. Wood splitting, maybe. The city falling. You can barely think. Each wave of pain drowns you. Samuel wipes your brow. He whispers, "We're all right. We're all right." Over and over. You're not sure if he's saying it for you or for himself. Outside, the fire is closer. The roof across the street collapses in a blossom of flame. The air tastes like ash. You scream again, and push, and scream again, and something gives. The room goes silent for a moment, just the sound of your ragged breath, and Samuel's trembling hands lifting the child, wrapping it in a scorched cloth. You reach for it, blinking through tears. It's a girl. She doesn't cry. She just blinks, wide-eyed, as if surprised to find herself in such a place, on such a night. And then, the heat. Too close now. The roof tiles outside crack from the pressure. You look at Samuel. You don't have to say it. You both know. He wraps the baby tighter, hands trembling, and lifts you gently from the bed. You are too weak to walk, but you cling to him, and he carries you down the stairs, through smoke, into a city you no longer recognize. The inn is empty. The taproom still has 2 tankards half full on the counter. Someone ran in the middle of a drink. Samuel kicks the back door open. The alley behind is dark. You breathe through the burning, through the fear, through the last of your strength. And as you limp toward the river, toward anything, toward hope, the child opens her mouth and cries. Now you are James, and your job is to blow the city up. You are James. You're not a soldier, not exactly. You're trained to fight, but you don't carry a musket or wear a breastplate. You carry powder, and your job is not to kill people. It's to destroy buildings. You're part of the trained bands. Men like you were called in when the fire wouldn't stop, when water didn't work, when fire hooks couldn't pull fast enough, when men stood sobbing before their homes and still refused to tear them down. Now, you have orders. You carry barrels of gunpowder through narrow lanes while the air fills with screams and falling timber. You're given permission to destroy property, to flatten rows of homes, to sacrifice anything that might slow the fire's hunger. You were called in too late. By the time you reach Creed Lane, it's already lost. Houses stand like candles, glowing from within. You don't recognize the city anymore, only its bones. Your hands shake as you measure the powder. You load it beneath a tailor's shop. The fabric above flaps wildly as the heat builds. You step back. You light the fuse. You wait. The explosion rips through the air, flinging bricks into the alley, throwing splinters across the stones. The fire pauses, just for a moment. That's all you need. You move on. Another barrel, another house. You pass a woman sitting in the middle of the street, rocking back and forth. She's surrounded by broken crockery, weeping into a bundle of cloth that holds no child. You don't stop. You can't. Every second matters. At the next house, a man rushes at you. "What are you doing?" He screams. "That's my brother's house." You tell him what you've told 10 others tonight. There'll be no house if we don't stop it now. He swings at you. You duck. The others hold him back. You set the fuse. You light it. You close your eyes. Boom. Another piece of London gone by your own hand. But behind you, the fire slows. For now, you move on. Powder on your clothes. Smoke in your lungs. Blood in your ear from the last blast that came too close. You're deaf in one side now. Doesn't matter. You have 5 more barrels. And a city still burning. Now you are John Evelyn. Scholar, writer, gentleman. And what you see from across the river will stay with you for the rest of your life. You are John Evelyn. You stand on the south bank of the Thames. The wind tearing at your coat. The river restless beneath the pale morning light. You haven't slept. You've been here for hours. Since June, Saint before dawn, watching the fire devour the city you thought you knew. You're a scholar, a gentleman, a man of letters. You've traveled, studied, spoken with kings, but you've never seen anything like this. London burns. You cover your nose with a handkerchief, but it's no use. The air is thick with smoke and ash, the stink of scorched timber, oil, flesh, horsehair. It lingers in your clothes, your throat, your thoughts. You hear people crying. You see them across the river, lining the banks. Families with carts and bundles, carrying what they could, fleeing what they couldn't save. You write down what you see, even as your hand shakes. The flames stretch for miles now, from the wharves by the bridge all the way to the churches of Cornhill and beyond. A great ridge of fire, undulating, like the back of some immense beast rising from the depths of hell itself. You saw St. Paul's Cathedral only hours ago, still standing. Now it groans. Its roof glows red hot, lead melting and pouring down its sides like wax. The dome bulges, cracks. Then, with a roar that echoes across the water, it collapses in on itself. Stone and flame and history swallowed in seconds. You flinch. The crowd around you gasps. Some scream. Some fall to their knees. You write the words as they come. This is not a fire. This is judgment. You don't believe in signs, but you wonder. Then you see them, men in leather caps, carrying hooks, axes, buckets, running into the smoke while others flee from it. London's firefighters. You don't know their names, but soon we will. Because now you are Matthew. You are 28 years old, and tonight you carry water into hell. You are Matthew. You are 28 years old, and tonight you carry water into hell. You're a fireman, or what people call one in 1666. There's no official fire brigade, not yet. Just men like you, laborers, carpenters, porters, volunteers and hired hands. You wear thick leather breeches and a woolen cap. Your boots are soaked through, and your hands are raw. You don't have engines or hydrants. You don't have hoses that reach rooftops. You have buckets. You have axes. You have fire hooks. Long iron poles used to pull buildings down before the flames can claim them. You have your body, and you have time. Not enough of it. The bucket chain started before midnight. Dozens of men passing water from the Thames, hand to hand. You're at the front, the last grip before the throw. Your arms burn. Your face is blackened with soot. But you don't stop. Not even when your mate, Thomas, is pulled away screaming because the building above him cracked like thunder and buried the man behind him in flame. You saw it. You saw the hand, reaching up from the rubble, burning like a torch. You didn't scream. You just turned and threw the next bucket. Because the fire doesn't wait. You move toward Fish Street Hill, where the flames are crawling over the rooftops like angry vines. You grab your hook and shout at a group of men near the church. We bring it down now, or it brings us down. Some refuse. It's their home, their livelihood. You push them aside. Swing the hook. The timber groans. Again. The roof caves in. Sparks fly. You cover your mouth and run backward. The fire shifts course. Slows. It worked. This time, a child screams from inside the butcher's shop. You don't hesitate. You run in, crouched low. It's thick. Blinding. You call out. No answer. You kick open the back room. There, beneath the butcher's table, a girl, barefoot, eyes wide, curled into herself. You scoop her up. She's lighter than she should be. You carry her out, through the smoke, through the alley, until you hit air again. She clings to your neck, doesn't speak. You hand her to a woman who may or may not be her mother. You don't ask. You just turn back toward the flames. Your lungs are worse now. Each breath stabs. Your tongue tastes like copper and ash. You've lost 3 men already. One crushed under a falling chimney. One who fell from the ladder. And one, Jonas, who simply didn't come back from the far side of the church. You don't say their names. Not yet. If you say them, it means they're gone. If you keep swinging the hook, passing the bucket, shouting the orders, maybe they still stand behind you. Maybe they'll show up around the next corner, soaked and blackened, laughing through cracked lips. You tell yourself this, because if you stop, even for a moment, the fire wins. Now it is morning, and you're still alive. You don't know how, but you are. You sit on the edge of a broken step, knuckles blistered, skin torn. You sip water from a dented cup and cough it back up. You look at the sky. It's gray now, not from clouds, from smoke. You'll go back in. Because they need you. Because someone has to hold the line, even when the line is made of fire. Because even when the people of London cry and run and pray, someone has to stay and burn. And the next day is worse. You slept maybe an hour, if you can call it that, curled up in a churchyard between 2 broken stones, your cap pulled over your eyes, the smoke still thick enough to make every breath feel like swallowing sand. The fire never stopped, not even for the sun, not even for the moon. By the time someone shakes your shoulder, your body feels twice as heavy and half as useful. But you stand. You always stand. You pull your coat over your shoulders, grab your fire hook, and step into the haze. The streets are ash now. The buildings you fought for, gone. The bakery, the tailors, the inn, all blackened ribs and ember bones. The ones that still stand won't stand long. The fire hasn't just spread. It's feeding now. You and a dozen others form another line. Buckets from the Thames again. Over and over. Your arms ache with a hollow sort of fire. Tiredness that doesn't scream anymore, just stays. A woman runs to you, barefoot and wild-eyed. She says her husband is inside a collapsed building, calling out. You follow her. You find a gap, a half-sunken doorway through twisted beams and melted glass. You don't think. You crawl in. The heat pushes back, makes the air hum. Your skin prickling like it might split open. You call out, a groan. You push deeper. You find him, pinned beneath a fallen beam. Legs crushed. He's trying to lift it himself. Blood in his teeth from the effort. You brace your shoulder against the wood. You scream through it. You lift. He slides out. You drag him back. The building groans. You don't run fast enough. The wall behind you falls inward. Your coat catches flame. You roll in the street. 2 others slap it out. Your hands, your right hand, burned. Not deep, but bad. You can't feel 2 fingers. You don't stop. You wrap it in cloth. You pick up your hook. You keep going, because the wind has shifted. The fire is moving west, toward the Guildhall, toward the Wealth. And suddenly, the same men who said to wait, to hold back, to protect the shops, are screaming for you to tear them down. They've realized now there's nothing left to protect. So you swing the hook. You pull down history, 1 timber at a time. You hear someone call your name. You turn. It's Henry. He's bleeding from the scalp. Smoke blackened. Grinning. He holds out a flask. You take a drink. It tastes like vinegar and hope. You both laugh. Then a roof beam falls between you. Splinters fly. You blink. He's gone. Just like that. You drop the flask. The street tilts. But you don't sit. You don't mourn. You just move. Because more are coming. More fire. More screams. More walls. And if you don't pull them down, they'll fall anyway. And take everyone with them. It's the third day. And you no longer believe in endings. You've stopped wondering how long this can last. The fire has no shape anymore. It isn't a line to hold or a patch to smother. It's everywhere. In the air. In the sky. In your lungs. It's not a thing. It's a god. And it demands everything. You lost count of the streets yesterday. You don't know where you are now. Somewhere between Fleet Street and Newgate. But the signs are all gone. Burned. Melted. Hanging in ribbons from blackened posts. Even the houses look the same. Walls scorched. Windows blown out. Doors gone. You hear someone shout of rum inside a second-floor room. You drop your bucket and run toward the sound. The building is leaning, groaning. The stairs inside are missing, burned to nothing. But there's a ladder left in the alley. Someone abandoned it, or maybe they just didn't make it back. You plant it against the wall, start to climb. Each rung shudders under your boots. You reach the window. Inside, two people, an old man and a girl, maybe 15. The smoke is thick. They're huddled near the hearth, coughing, eyes wide. Come on, you say, reaching out. The girl grabs your wrist. You pull her out first, lowering her down the ladder slowly, guiding her feet, whispering, one more. Just one more. She disappears below. You turn back for the man. He doesn't move. I can't, he says, voice like gravel. My leg. You don't argue. You swing your arm around his back. Lift with what strength you have left. He groans but rises. You brace him on the windowsill. Start to descend. Halfway down, the ladder shifts. The building moans. The wall to your left buckles inward. You move faster, rung by rung, sweat stinging your eyes. You reach the ground just as the top floor collapses into itself. The girl screams. You fall to your knees. Your hands shake too hard to wipe the soot from your eyes. But you're alive, and so are they. You don't have time to feel it. You don't have time to rest. Someone grabs your arm. Another shout. Another rescue. You move again. Because there's no time for stories, no time for grieving, only breath, only movement, only fire. At sunset, the wind changes, a small thing, but you feel it. You stop in the middle of an empty square, boots crunching on glass, shoulders trembling, and you listen. It's quieter, still burning, yes, but different, not feeding, not leaping, just burning, dying. The wind has betrayed it, and you, soaked, limping, blistered, burned, allow yourself one breath of hope. One, you look to the river. Smoke trails low over the water. The bells don't ring anymore. There are no bells, but you imagine one, far off, soft, the sound of something ending. You have lost your voice, not just your words, but the sound of them. Your throat is raw, scraped dry by days of breathing smoke and shouting orders. Your lips are split. Your lungs feel like they've turned to stone. You try to speak once when someone asks your name. Nothing comes. They nod anyway. They know. You're sitting now, slumped against the broken base of a statue in the ruins of a market square. Around you, the ground is wet with water and ash. The air tastes like metal and ruin. Your clothes hang from you in tatters. Your boots are slick with soot. You've wrapped one arm in cloth where the burns are worst. The pain doesn't even register anymore. Not the sharp kind. It's dull now, heavy. You've slept for maybe 20 minutes. Leaned against a doorway, curled beneath a cart, sitting upright on a step with your head on your knees. But sleep doesn't bring rest. It brings walls collapsing. It brings Henry's grin and the scream that followed. It brings ladders swaying and children screaming and roofs opening above you like mouths of flame. You stare at your hands. They barely look like hands anymore. Blistered, torn, burned. One of the fingertips on your right hand has gone black. You should tell someone. You don't. You've stopped counting hours, stopped counting streets, stopped counting names. You used to remember them all. Now they blur together. Faces twisted in fear, in gratitude, in pain. Some you pulled from fire. Some you didn't reach in time. Some never even saw you coming. You shift where you sit, eyes tracking the last few curls of smoke still rising in the distance. The fire is slowing. Trapped, now, between stretches of stone and fire breaks you tore into the earth with your own hands. The wind helped. It turned, just when it had to. But not before everything changed. Not before whole parishes became ash. Not before London became something else. You close your eyes. The silence is heavier than the fire ever was. It presses against your ears, thick and soft. No bells, no shouting, just the crackle of what's left. You feel someone sit down beside you. You don't look. A hand touches your shoulder. That's all, just a hand. You let yourself lean, just for a moment. You wonder if this is what peace feels like. You wonder how long it will last. Now you are someone else. You are a boy. And you're digging through ashes, searching for your father's shoe. The silence wraps around you like a worn blanket, soot-streaked, damp, heavy. You don't remember when you sat down, only that you couldn't stand anymore. Your legs gave out, not from injury, just absence. The same way a beam gives out after too many nights of smoke and heat and weight. People move past you like ghosts now. Some carry water, some carry nothing. A few pull carts, wheels creaking over wet ash and broken glass. They avoid your eyes. Maybe they think you're dead. Maybe they just can't look at one more ruin in human shape. You feel the weight of the fire in your limbs, in your ribs. It has carved itself into you, coated the walls of your throat, nested behind your eyes. Even though the flames are further now, even though the wind is kinder, you still smell it. The smoke's in your skin. You spot a bucket lying on its side nearby. You think about standing, picking it up, joining another chain. One more house, one more life. But you don't move. Not yet. There's a body across the square, face down. You can't tell if he was one of yours. Maybe. You stare at the back of his head for a long time, waiting for it to lift, for him to stir. He doesn't. You should check. You should get up. But the ground has taken you, held you. You rest your head against the statue again. It used to be a man on a horse. Now it's just legs. The torso lies somewhere in the rubble near the church. You saw it fall yesterday. Or was it this morning? Time is nothing now. The sun rises through smoke and sets into ash. A girl walks past, dragging a bucket half her size. She can't be older than 8. Her face is covered with soot except for 2 clean trails beneath her eyes. You watch her pass. She doesn't ask for help. You wouldn't know what to say if she did. So you sit. The fire still burns, but it's dying. Not fast, not kindly, but dying. It coughs now instead of roars. Whimpers instead of screams. But you know better. It's not gone. It's just waiting to be born again. Somewhere else. You close your eyes. Not to sleep, just to stop seeing. Just for a moment. And for the first time in days, your shoulders stop bracing for the next scream. The next collapse. The next death. There's only breath. Shallow. Rough. But still yours. And for now, that has to be enough. The smoke thins. It doesn't vanish. It never does. But it rises higher now. Lighter, less greedy, drifting toward a sky that's no longer blood orange, just pale and bruised with ash. The wind has turned for good. What's left of London, what little the fire didn't consume, still stands, blinking into the daylight like someone waking from a terrible dream. You stand, not because you feel strong, because the silence around you isn't quiet anymore. It's hollow. And, the work isn't over. There are embers in the cracks of the street. collapsed cellars that haven't been searched, people still digging for things that can't be saved. But something inside you shifts when you see the hill beyond St. Paul's, bare now, the great cathedral nothing but stone bones and shattered lead. That's where it hit the hardest. That's where London burned clean. You walk, slower than before, past walls that still breathe heat, past doorways choked with rubble. You see a child holding a candlestick like it's treasure. You see a woman sweeping soot from a doorstep that no longer has a door. You nod at a man carrying a barrel of water on one shoulder. He nods back. No one speaks. What would they say? What word could measure this? London will never be the same. You know that. But it still exists, somehow. And so do you. They'll rebuild. The king will call for stone and order new maps. Parliament will pass new laws. And brick by brick, timber by timber, the city will rise again. But those who remember, those who ran and fell and dug and burned and stood, EY will never forget, and neither will you, because for 4 days and nights, the fire owned everything. And you stood inside it. You lost friends. You saved strangers. You watched your city die and refused to look away. You did what you could. And now, you finally let go of the breath you've been holding. The fire is over, but the story remains. You don't need to speak it. You lived it, and in your silence, London remembers.